Just waiting for Elsie, guys. Before Elsie joins, I think I do have a quick question for Samira and Hamida. You guys did mention about the banks.
I like it. I think we should have always.
I do have a question about the bank statement. So for the Canadian schools, on top of your full funding, you probably might need additional statements and other sources of support. Could you guys clarify further? If I got it right, if you have full funding, you don't need any additional bank statement. Was that the case that you guys made?
Okay, so Doug, I'm gonna start with this.
Sure, go ahead. Hamida.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to try to address this. Those who had PhD programs that came with full funding, like they have no deficit. You wouldn't need you. So the bank statement I was talking about was in relation to you securing your I-20. You might need to show the school that you needed. You can take care of the remaining deficits on your admission. But if you don't have any deficits, you don't have to struggle for a bank statement. But I don't know if you have to submit a statement to the embassy because there's literally no deficit on your admission offer. It shows that you've been granted a GA, you'll be having stipends. Some come with housing. You are going to work for more than 20 hours a week. So literally, you're just going to school like on a scholarship. Your stipends will be like your living expenses, your health insurance is covered. So with those kind of offers, you don't need the statement. Like you just go to the embassy, they see that you don't have a deficit, it's fully funded, and I think that's it. But those with partial funding, some are not exactly partial, some are also GAs, but they don't cover health insurance, and then the stipends are little. With that, the school would automatically tell you that your health insurance is not going to be covered. So you would need a statement, probably not much, like a $5,000, $6,000 statement. You have to show that one to the embassy because they are going to also see the statement. And this is in relation to your I-20. The I-20 is going to show the embassy everything. If you don't have any deficit, it's going to write like you are fully funded. It's covered. So there's no need for them to ask you of a statement. But if you have a deficit of even $1, it's going to show that you have a deficit of $1. And they are going to ask you, how are you going to fund this deficit? So you have to look for ways. Like if you have a statement, you go like, oh, my uncle is willing to cover the remaining expenses. He works at, because you need to tell the embassy where your uncle work and how he's able to raise that amount to take care of the remaining deficit you're talking about. So my uncle works in AB company. He's the managing director and he's willing to cover the remaining expenses of 7,000 US dollars. Something convincing. That is where the issue with fake statement comes in, because there are people who sell bank statement around 500, 600 cities during my time, and they keep giving people the same statement to submit to the embassy. And the embassy have been seeing this occurring often. Like you bring the statement, all they do is to change the people name and then they put your uncle's name and it's the same statement. So one thing I'll put across is I had a friend who submitted a statement. It was her uncle's statement, but she was on what's the name of the thing they put you on? She was on
Administrative processing.
Yeah,
Okay.
she was on administrative process because the embassy wanted to do some enquiries. They actually told her they don't believe the statement she submitted. So they were going to call the banks and then make enquiries. So they called Access Bank. That was where her uncle used to like have his own thing. They asked if they have a customer with the name, if he has a valid account, and if they can't, the bank could not tell them the exact money, but they just wanted to know if the uncle really had an account with the bank. And I think it took her about 3 months before she was officially asked to submit her passports for the visa and all that. So it's a whole lot. And I think we need to look through the statement well, because aside from you being in a rush to submit everything, to get everything done, Once you mess up something like with your statement, it might like destroy your whole plans of studying abroad in general, because once the embassy find out you submitted a fake document, they are not granting you the visa. It goes back to the school. They are taking back the admission they gave you. Like everything is just going to be going wrong for you. So please and please, if you don't know anyone, you could just go to, like, if you know a company where you did your internship, you have been on a scholarship. I got my bank statement from my scholarship back in the university. And since it's a scholarship, just as I made the statement earlier on, like it's a company, like it's a business thing, like it was a scholarship. So it's not just me, it's not just the founder, it's a group of people. I told her I needed a statement and she gave me a statement, but she had to attach a letter to it. So make more connections, talk to people. It doesn't necessarily have to be a relative. Just show how the person is willing to help. What's going to keep the relationship? Like how do you describe to the embassy that it's not going to be it's not something you are just showing to them, but it's something that's really going to work when you get to the state and you really need some help with finances. So I think that's what I have to say. I don't know if Samira has something to add to it.
Yeah, what I was going to say is, I think that to be on a safe side, even with your full funding, it's important to have a bank statement, because I've seen a case where the guy had he had full funding, right? But on his offer letter for the graduate assistantship, it showed that the appointment was for 1 year. So it's usually for 1 year under the condition that you maintain a certain GPA. So the question was asked, so if after the 1 year, like you lose your funding, see you were not able to meet that GPA, how are you going to like continue your studies, like, cater for your education? So in that case, like if he had a bank statement, he would have been able to buy his case and gotten his visa approved. So to just be on a safe side, like you should have a bank statement with you. I had full funding, but I also had a bank statement as well, just in case they asked a question like that. But that question never came up, so I didn't use my bank statement, but just have it in case. It's better to be safe than sorry.
Yeah, I think Elsie is here. I also realized there is Zion, there's Prince and other guys from the US. So let's give Elsie maybe 5 minutes to complete her presentation. Then we'll take the questions. Those in the US, Zion and the rest, please, you can join Hamida, Samira, and then Elsie in answering the questions. If you guys have any questions for them, please leave the questions in the chat room. Hopefully they can pick on the questions and answer them individually. So Elsie, please take over. After Elsie's presentation, we can take the questions. And please leave the questions in the chat as I mentioned. Thanks.
Thank you very much. And Hamida and Samira have done justice to this discussion. So I wouldn't want to drag this any further. So I just want to highlight on certain things I think I should brief us all on. First of all, about the DS-160, one thing I should say is that once you log into the DS-160 or you have an account there, it's valid for 30 days. I don't mean that after 30 days you lose your details, but then after 30 days, if you do not log into the site to resave your work, you lose them. And then it's very important because you've been given a code, which is AA before the following the rest of the numbers. Once you lose that, and that's the code you have used for your interview dates and all that. So it's very important to still keep your DS-160 active. So even if you don't have anything to put in there, you have to log in, refresh it, save whatever you have, and keep it active. After 30 days of not doing so, you lose everything in there. Then again, I would also advise that you would do that, you submit it at least a week before your interview date. So yes, do not be in a rush to submit. And whatever you put in there, you should be ready to defend it when you're asked during the interview. I don't want to highlight on things they spoke about, so I would really go quickly. Then some documents you need to take to the interview. On the interview day, There are a lot. There are a lot. I think I had a whole documents to take, but then one thing I must say is that on your entry, when you are entering the place, what they will ask for is your DS-160 confirmation page, your passport, your passport picture, which is the US size. Then they would ask, yeah, basically that's what you need, your passport itself to enter. Once you enter and you go through the process, you then be asked for your service receipt you paid. And it's supposed to be paid here in the US. So you have to contact someone here in the US to make that payment for you, because Ghanaians are not allowed to do it online. So personally, I think I had friends who reached out to their supervisors and they granted them people to help them with that. Personally, I had a relative here, so he helped me with that. But then I also see people doing it as more as a business, that if you want to do that, we can do it for you just at a fee. Well, whatever approach you go with, just know that you need someone to do that for you here in the US. Then once you enter the interview space or the embassy, you then be asked to provide your service receipt, which is very important, and then your I-20. So these are the documents I used. I had the full fund, and so I didn't need a bank statement. You would also hear people saying that even if you're on a full funding scheme, you should still take bank statement. Well, if you have a ticket, if you don't stress, from my take, because I think I had days thinking about how I'm going to get a bank statement before people started encouraging me that you don't need it, because hey, where am I going to get that from? But then, yeah, I didn't take any as long. I just took my funding letter along in case of anything. So this being said, take any additional document you think that would support your whole application, like everything. I think you should have that. Then again, I don't want to go through things that I've already. Then the sites, the booking sites. So you have the chance to select dates just 4 times. Once you log into the system and you pick the first dates, you can do that 3 other times. When you have one more slot, they'll give you a prompt that you are exceeding the number. So you just have 3 times. After your first login and you take a date, you have 3 times to change that. Use that wisely. You don't just have to wait, and the moment you see a date just a day ahead of what you have, you're in a hurry to pick it, you lose your 3 chances. So it's in your court. You should just make sure you use them to you. And then the number of times you can log in, you would be on a pace where you want to always check the sites that are there new dates, but then sadly enough, or sadly, you can't log in so much. Like I'm hearing sometimes 4 times after 3 times of logging in a day within 24 hours. If you log in more than that, you'll be blocked and you can't access the site for, I think, 72 hours. So just imagine. So you would also have to be on that page. You just don't have to go in and be logging in. You do it once in a while. Once you hear people talking about data pile, sorry. But then when you hear people making that noise, then you should know that you should be on the move. So when you're searching for dates, you should also be active on your phone, because when dates are out there, trust me, I don't know how, but it just circulates and then you hear of it. So you have to log in. So be mindful of that too. I don't know if I've exhausted everything here because I don't want to repeat. But then, yeah, I think that would do. And I want to also wish everyone here going for their interview all the best. Go with confidence, prep for it, for that one. Join mock interviews. You wouldn't be asked the same questions, but I think you would be asked questions that are similar to what is being discussed on the mock interview platforms. So you can go in there, listen to people's questions, try to ask yourself, if I'm asked that question, what answer? You don't need to chew and pour, but then understand your story and be ready to tell it out. Yeah, so I think that's it for me, and yeah, I'll leave it here.
Thank you very much, Elsie. Much, appreciated. And I think we do have some questions on the platform. I would like to give those questions to the other colleagues from US who haven't, gotten the chance to present today. I can see there's Roger, there is Zion, as I mentioned earlier. And if you guys have any follow-up, if you guys can take any of the questions, please let me know. If not, I will just give it to Samira and Hamida, as well as Elsie to take over. So I think the very first one will have to do with the loan, if I understand correctly. If I think this is what I have here. It says, please, those who will be attending the interview with Empower Funding, how should they prepare for the visa interview, and what are the possible questions to expect? Zion, and let me see, Zion and Roger, if you guys can take this question, let me know. If not, I'll just give it to Hamida and Elsie and Samira. So Samira and Hamida, Elsie, can you guys help with the Empower loan? Do you guys have any ideas to how they need to prepare for that?
For the Empower loan, I haven't really met a lot of people the that went in for the interview with Empower loan, but I think like just broadly, being able to explain how you're going. I don't know if the embassy is actually going to ask you how you intend to pay back for the loan,
Mm.
but there's something that I really want to touch on regarding this Empower thing. I actually have it in my notes here, but I forgot to talk about it. If you are considering going for an Empower loan, like I think they send you this approval letter that you would send to the embassy. If you did not do the Empower loan application yourself and somebody did it for you, please scan that document and make sure that it has your name on it. Like it actually belongs to you. Because I know somebody that has, somebody did the Empower loan application for him. I think when you do the application, you get some sort of bonus. So the guy like actually does that for people and he makes money out of it. So he actually gave my friend a an acceptance letter or something like that that isn't his. And fortunately for him, he went with that document to the embassy. He was approved. But then now he's in the US, he's having issues with it because Empower do not recognize him. They don't know him. They don't have him on his system. They can't pay his fees and he's stranded. So if you're not doing it yourself and somebody's doing it for you, make sure that that acceptance thing is actually yours. Yeah, but then for like the interview, like I don't really know what kind of questions they would ask, but just be able to explain how you think you can pay the loan back, just in case that question comes up.
Thank you very much. I think that's very true. Yeah. Empower. I think I also get it occasionally for those applying to Canada. I don't know how it really plays a role, but I mean, it's good that you guys are asking questions along those lines, the Empower and whatnot. Hamida, do you have any experience with it and Elsie as well?
Sorry, I don't know much about the Empower. I'm so sorry. So I'm just not going to say anything about it.
Same here, same here. Elsie, any Empower from your side?
Honestly, I don't really have much info on that. Yeah.
No problem. Thank you very much. I think the next question is from Rashid. It says, thank you for this session. Please, does that mean that you can book an appointment date before you fill and submit DS-160 form? What's the sequence here?
I think this is something that I touched on. I guess that is where his question came up from. Yes, you can go ahead and book dates before you complete the DS-160 form, but you should start filling the DS-160 form in order for you to get that DS application ID that is needed for you to create that account with your embassy to book dates. So you don't want to rush the form. So begin the form, get that code, and then move on. And then just in case your DS, something happens with your DS-160, it expires or whatever, and you can't use the same form or the same application ID, there is a place you can update your profile on on that account with the embassy where you book your dates. So you just have to go there and then update your profile and put in the new DS-160 ID number.
Hmm.
So begin the DS-160, you don't have to rush it. But then since there isn't like enough dates out there, get that ID and then go create your account and start looking for dates as you work on the DS-160 form alongside.
Thank you very much. I think this is fairly, straightforward. So let me just read this one out. I think this is also related to the Empower, if I get it right. Says, thanks for the presentation. Please, my question is, what if you have received a partial funding or no funding and you decide to apply for a loan? How do you position yourself for the visa interview? And do you think it can limit your chances for the approval? I think this is the Empower related stuff. Or Kofi, is that not it? You guys should keep me honest here. Hamida and Elsie and Samira. I guess this is also related to Empower. Is that the case?
Well, I think this is a very common situation here in the US. You could get admission and there will be no funding, nothing. And you could also get partial funding. Sometimes it's often from some private universities. They're gonna give you like 30% scholarship, 40%. I don't want to say no funding is a guarantee for visa denial, because it's how you are going to explain to the embassy if you are going to get the funds to like survive in graduate school without funding, because you have to know the cost of attendance, how much is your fees, your health insurance. Is basically like getting admitted into a school and not having any funding at all. So it's how you convince the embassy and how you be able to. Most people will try to discourage you. We had people who were told, oh, they had admissions, they didn't get any funding, and it was mostly with these programs, sports, I think it's this sports related programs, because it's just the admissions they give, you don't get any funding, and then they tell you you are not going to get visas. But we had people who went to the embassy with their bank statement and then they were able to get their visas approved. Being on partial funding does not mean you won't get your visas approved. No, we have people with partial funding. I think our year we had two of our colleagues, same program, same funding. The two people who went earlier on got denied, but the remaining two got theirs approved. So just as I said earlier on, it depends on how you are able to convince the embassy that, yes, I have a deficit of 20,000 US dollars, but here are some resources I'm going to look onto to fund my graduate studies whilst I'm in school. So being on partial funding does not generally guarantee your visa denial. It has nothing to do with that. And I'm not also concluding that not having funding is definitely going to hinder your visa approval. Just get a statement and be ready to convince the embassy that you are and willing to cover the expenses with your grad school.
Thank you very much. I think I'll give the next question to Elsie and Samira. I think it has to do with applying for something the previous year. You're currently, does it affect your chances? Let me read it. I think it's from Adam Muhammad. He mentioned, wanted to let you know I applied for visa interview in 2022, but I didn't go for the interview. And also I didn't pay for the service fee. Going for the interview this year, would that have an impact on my appointment? Do you guys have any experience with that?
I personally, Elsie, do you want to go on?
You could take that.
Okay. So I personally do not have any experience with this, but I don't think it should have any implication on your current visa appointment or interview. But you can always like reach out to more people to get information about it, just to be sure.
I think the next question is a follow-up from Roger. It's related to what Elsie, cautioned us about the initial booking. Elsie, do you want to take that one?
I don't know the current state, but then when I was doing it, you can reschedule only 3 times. I think I used 2 of my slots, of which I was prompted that I had one more chance, but I think I didn't need to book again. So that's for me. And you only have one chance to do an emergency. Yeah. I think I requested for an emergency and I was denied. And interestingly, I don't know the criteria for that, but then I think I was on the same date with the person. We all applied for the emergency. She had it, I didn't. And well, but whoever applied after us, I think they were trying to state that if your date is way after your start date of your program, that is when you would most definitely be given an emergency. But then, hey, the 2 of us, we all had our dates before our start program, but I don't know the criteria, but then I think things have been updated. So you have one chance to do an emergency. When you apply for the emergency, you can use informations like your I-20 document and then your funding letter and your admission letter. Probably, yeah, that's what I used, or that's what we both used. Any updates, I can't really tell, but then, yeah.
Thank you very much, Elsie. Hamida, do you mind taking the next question? It has to do with the visa denial and applying immediately from Nana Kwame.
Yeah, so I think getting your visa denied, I think you should give yourself a month if your program start date has still not like started. If your program is in August and probably you went for your interview in June and you got denied, I think you could try again. I don't think there are some restrictions. I think with some denials too, you are going to be there's going to be a note stating that you could try again after some time. I'm not so sure about that, but on my day of interview, I was there with someone who was denied, I think a month before, and the person came back again. So I think there shouldn't be problem trying, but just give yourself some time, because I'm also told that the more you keep getting denied, the lesser your chances of being approved in the same embassy. Okay, so when you go to Ghana and then you get denied, you could, instead of doing it immediately, you could give yourself like some 2 months and then go back again. And if you go and the VOs know, so when you go and it was the same VO that denied you, like the person that denied you, he's probably going to redirect you to someone else. Okay, so if it was the, I don't know how we call them, but we had some terms we call the VOs. Like if it was the fair man or the dark man who denied you, he's probably redirecting you to someone to have the interview with this time. So I don't think it should be a problem. Just give yourself a month or two to go back again.
Okay, thank you. Samira, we are trying to leverage your story about the Access Bank. So I would like to send this question your way. It says, my uncle is in South Africa. Is it advisable to use a statement? Do you guys see the case where someone is using intentional bank statements like this?
Yeah, you can go ahead and use your uncle's bank statement in South Africa. I think people have used international foreign bank statements before.
Okay. Let me see if there is any follow-up question on this. Yeah. This one says that yeah, it's a bit complicated. Evans, do you mind using the mic? Hopefully we can clarify further. Before Ivan comes in, we just received one question from Edward Abeku Kwanzaa. If you have a full funding and in DS form, you choose sell for the question. Who will fund your trip? Would that be a bother during the interview? I'm not sure about this, guys. Elsie, Hamida, Samira. The last question.
If you're on a full funding, and personally, I think the answer I had that I would have used was that I've probably worked for a year and I've saved something, or my family is in there to help. They usually do not ask about that, about flights. They are more concerned about the school funding itself, as in your fees and everything, not about just the flight. So I don't think, but if you are asked, family support, yeah, probably.
Okay.
And I don't think you need a bank statement to book a flight. I don't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think to add, it's not going to be a bother. Like you are the one solely paying for your flight tickets, and they are not really concerned with that, just as Elsie said. So it should be fine.
Okay. Hamida, this will be related to what you mentioned earlier. He's asking about using a company's bank statement. Do you mind touching on that briefly, maybe a minute?
Yeah, you can use a company's bank statement, but the company would have to attach a letter to it. Yes, so I made it clear earlier on. If it's a company, that means it's a business bank statement. So they will have to add a letter stating why they are willing to fund the deficit on your I-20. So that's it.
Samira, this is I mean related to what you mentioned earlier about filling the forms. Can you take the question from Fadila to says, please can you further clarify how to book a date without completing the DS-160 form?
So with the DS-160 form, as I mentioned earlier, you just need that DS application ID. So you take the ID, you already begin filling the DS-160 form, then you take your ID and you go on the US Embassy Ghana page and create that account. And while creating that account, you would need your DS application and DS-160 application ID for that account that you're creating with the embassy in order to start your date hunting. So it's it's basic. That's basically it. You just have to start the form, get the ID, and then move on to create that account. You can check this guys out. Beats Lamad YouTube channel. He has a detailed video on how to do these processes like alongside.
Thank you very much. Elsie, do you mind taking the last one on the full funding? Says, please, what's the full funding? Tuition fee, monthly stipend. Does that qualify from the Nakwame?
So yeah, full tuition and then stipends and then health insurance. Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's the 3 things that I should cover.
Okay. Okay, so this is mostly it. I think we have barely 4 minutes, so I'll give the panelists 1 minute to close. So Hamida, please take over a minute, Samira a minute, and maybe Elsie a minute. Thanks.
Yeah, so thank you all for being here with us today. I don't know for my colleagues' plan, but I could probably schedule another meeting for interview preps if you need it. You could talk to Doc about it, and I'm sure with my friends we would be able to guide you through some of the things you would need and how to answer some questions. Was nice talking to you all.
Thank you very much. Samira?
Yeah, I think we've basically touched on everything that is necessary. If we need, I don't know, I'll try to connect with people that have used the Empower loan to like get here and get more information, and I'll ask them to see if they would like to like come on board, and if Brother Farouk can also like, um, if we can have another meeting like this with for just like empower people and people considering like that type of loan to get more idea on how they can excel in their interviews and get their visas approved. So I'll get more information on that and get back to you, Brother Farouk.
Thank you very much, Samira.
You're welcome.
Elsie?
Yeah, today has been a great session, I must say. And then I'd want to wish everyone going for the interview the best of luck, and yeah, go in a calm way, but be prepared. And then about the prep session, yeah, that would be nice to also go through. I will be in on that, and yeah, but then all the best in your interview preparations.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
Thank you very much. Any of the guys from the US, any final words from you guys? I think I saw Zion and Prince. Okay.
Doc, I'm also a newbie. I'm trying to go now.
Okay.
So, yeah.
No problem. So I think this does it for today. And I mean, personally, I'm very happy that we had this session because we've been looking at schools in Canada and in the US, and most of our strength is from the Canadian schools.
Sorry, I would want to say one more thing.
No
I would
problem.
also want to admonish that if you have any question, please reach out. Someone, not always, but most definitely would have an answer to anything. Because I remember when I started my process, I was a bit lost. I wasn't aware we had to pay 2 different fees, and the whole process was a bit new to me. So I think it's very important to reach out at any point in time when you have any, don't assume. Read on the sites, ask questions, and pick up the necessary information. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very true. Very true. Yeah, so thank you very much, everyone. We now have solid panelists from the US assisting us with the US visa application. So yeah, I'll connect with them again to see whether we can have a mock interview session. And should any one of you have any expedited requests, just let me know. As I've been doing in the past, I can connect you with Hamida, Elsie, or Samira to see whether they can be of help. But again, just be mindful of their time and respect their time. So when you have to go in there, make sure you have all your questions, those you cannot answer. Questions that you think can be answered from the webpage, just go read around. Those you think are very, very difficult to answer, you can then connect with them for them to assist you. I'll connect with them, as I mentioned earlier, to see whether we can move ahead with the mock interview and get to see that everyone is probably well prepared for the interview. Thank you very much, everyone.